Fighting games made arcades in the 90s a sight to behold. There's no feeling like waiting in line to try and beat the dominating player destroying everyone. It was a better time for fighting games in a way, before the days of online rage quitting and poor sportsmanship.
Take a single stock right, or that take like a single piece of damage right. Oh.
Oh, I definitely. Oh, nah, he ain't about it. He said, nah, I don't like Cloud. Boo!
However, the fighting game genre has evolved greatly with this generation. I mean, even professional gaming events have evolved. Just look at EVO in Las Vegas. Mortal Kombat 10, Injustice, Killer Instinct, all are great. But what are the best fighting games ever? Hey Shackers, Greg here, and today I'm counting down the top 10 best fighting games. Now the core rule here is one game per franchise, which is going to be pretty difficult. Also, games on this list are going to be determined by popularity and significance to the fighting game genre overall. Street Fighter 4 may be superior in terms of graphics and depth, but Street Fighter Third Strike had a much bigger impact overall in comparison. Votes have been taken via our forums and staff, so let's put our money up. These are the top 10 best fighting games.
Clash! Fuck! Come on!
What is he doing?
He's losing the game, that's what he's doing, Tom! You can't play the controllers now! This is being outplayed, he just quits!
He takes it out and he quits. He's upset.
This is not good.
In 1995, 3D fighting games were still fairly new to the arcade scene, with 2D sprite fighters dominating. Virtua Fighter 2 made waves. A throw mechanic was introduced, as well as new characters, and all fighters had received more movesets and combo options. With all the improvements to visuals, fighters, and gameplay, the sequel was well received. The game sold over 1.5 million units in Japan, and was the best-selling Sega Saturn game to date. Lots of things can be improved in the sequel of a game. This holds even more truth in fighting games. Soul Calibur 2's weapon-based fighting system was unique and different for the time, and the amount of playable characters was fantastic, over 25 fighters, including exclusive fighters based on platform, like Itachi from Tekken, Link from Nintendo, and Spawn. The game was popular in both arcades and home consoles. The designers made big improvements to its fighting engine as a whole, and the game had multiple modes to play through: story mode, team battle mode, training mode, time attack mode. The game itself won the Spike Video Game Awards of 2003 for Most Addictive Video Game. Remember Spike TV? Before it was just reruns of Cops? It actually had a Game Awards show. One of the most legendary fighting games due to its amazing combo system, and let's be honest, that voice announcer.
Ultra Combo! Yeah!
Killer Instinct's combination of fast, frantic gameplay, the game's fun, vibrant characters, over-the-top combos, and excessive pixel gore made it an instant hit on both arcade and Super Nintendo. Years later, KI would be rebooted on the Xbox One and PC. But the first Killer Instinct was the groundbreaking fighter everyone remembers.
It all began in 94, and found rolling in 95. Pieces were replaced in 96, it came to the hand in 97. Now it comes, and here we go. KOF is here again. I think some sound is 1998.
Released on the Neo Geo arcade cabinet in 1998, King of Fighters 98 was well received. It was one of the major games to put developer SNK on the fighting game map. Filled with a deep combat system and a surprising amount of balance between its fighters, it's a well-designed game, even 19 years later. The sequel to the fighting game X-Men Children of the Atom, Marvel's Superheroes was one of the first fighting games to feature Spider-Man, Captain America, Thanos, among others. The game had an impressive combo system, a level of depth to each character, and the Infinity Stone mechanic, which added a lot of strategy to the game. Marvel's Superheroes also happen to look drop-dead gorgeous, with excellent animations, voice work, and bright, vivid colors that mimic our favorite Saturday morning cartoons. The game also paved the way for what would be the foundation of the Marvel vs. Capcom series. Tekken 3 is known for being one of the best 3D fighters ever created. The game was exceptionally well received at release, selling more than 8.5 million copies worldwide, and is the fourth best-selling PlayStation game of all time. It made several upgrades from its predecessor, Tekken 2, like more playable characters, faster gameplay, smoother animations, and extended juggling combo options. The Tekken series peaked at this third game in the franchise. Its 3D engine made it very unique compared to other fighting games. Tekken 3 received many awards during the 90s, with many press publications like the Game Informer rating it number 177 in the top 200 games of all time, and PlayStation giving it the number 10 spot on the top 10 PlayStation games of all time. It's fondly remembered and is known as the best Tekken game in the series. The first Super Smash Bros. Was quite popular. I myself remember my school having tournaments on the N64. However, its sequel on the GameCube was when shit got really crazy. Wave dashing and just the insane speed of the gameplay caused it to quickly rise in the competitive gaming underground. The game's even extremely popular at EVO every year as well. Super Smash Bros. Melee even had enough fan support to change and balance the game in the form of a mod called Project M. I agree that while I personally love Super Smash Bros. On the Wii U, I can't deny the impact Melee had in the fighting game scene.
Super Smash Brothers Melee!
Ready?
One of the most popular fighting games of all time, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 New Age of Heroes, was probably the most crowded cabinet in your local arcades for years. The game had the biggest roster of characters in fighting game history, over 62 playable fighters, from X-Men, Avengers, and even unique odd characters like Meryl on the Marvel side, to Street Fighter, Mega Man, and even Resident Evil's Jill made an appearance on the Capcom side. Yes, the game is insanely broken, and a lot of the fighters are clones of other characters, but it hasn't stopped people from playing it for years. Its animations are beautiful, the super moves are a blast to watch and pull off, and let's not forget the 3v3 fighting system with assist. It broke new ground and maintained its reign as the top fighting game in arcades and consoles for years. Mortal Kombat 2 hit arcades in 1993. Its predecessor, Mortal Kombat, was one of the most controversial games in the history of interactive entertainment.
A fantasy martial arts game that some parents think is just too violent for their kids. Carol Lynn joins us live now from Northridge with more on that story. Carol?
Here it is, Bob, behind me. It's called Mortal Kombat. We're going to talk to Aaron Brandis here about the game. Aaron, how does it work?
Well, basically you pick a couple characters,
You do maneuvers on the joysticks and buttons. You do moves, and
And then what are you trying to get to? The fatalities?
Nah, there's a master guy you gotta beat at the end. Fatalities are just what happens if you're really brutal to your opponent. You get an opponent, you can rip off his head or something like that.
Sounds like a pretty thrilling game, and this is the kind of violence that critics are pretty worried about.
Its sequel kept everything that made the first great, while adding new characters and fatalities to the mix.
Sub-Zero wins. Fatality.
The game was everywhere, and proceeded to have multiple sequels, a cartoon show, and of course, what's arguably the best video game movie adaptation of all time. Sure, the series as a whole started to falter after Mortal Kombat 3, but 10 brought new life back into the franchise. Anyone who's a gamer has played, seen this game growing up, and enjoyed it, if only for its extreme violence and over-the-top fatalities. Mortal Kombat 2 will be known forever as one of the best fighting games ever. However, one more did top it. The game that really did refine the fighting genre. This is where it all started. It shouldn't be a surprise to anyone that this is Capcom's most iconic fighting game ever made, spawning over a dozen sequels, spin-offs, and even a terrible live-action movie.
Of course!
It's the game that really started it all. The game had 8 playable fighters, each with their own unique playstyle meant there was a fighter for everyone. The cyclone of Street Fighter games that followed made it a completely world phenomenon. And no matter how good or bad you think the current games are, just remember they've been around since 1987, consistently, and very few fighting games have achieved this. Street Fighter 2 set the bar for what competitive fighting games could be, and what eventually would be the future of all arcade fighters. It all started here with Street Fighter 2. What fighting games did you guys like? Which ones did I miss? Let me know in the comments below. For more videos like this and everything else gaming related, you're already in the right place. You're on Shacknews.com. Hey, don't you scratch my back! No! That's my cat.